Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Beatrice Garza, moderator of the program. Welcome to this new event promoted by the non-profit cultural association The Progress Time, with the high patronage of the Sapienza University of Rome, the Federico II University of Naples, the Australian Embassy in Italy, the National Inter-University Consortium for Informatics, and the Future Artificial Intelligence Research. Today's event is proposed as a new multidisciplinary stage that promotes dialogue between science, technology, tourism, and businesses, analyzing with expert researchers and academics from various parts of the world the cultural and speculative aspects related to the use of AI. We are delighted to introduce PhD Nukolo, Managing Partner next year in Nigeria. Topic covered: Artificial Intelligence in the New Era of Multiculturalism, Leveling or Widening Global Diversity.
Thank you. It's good afternoon. I hope if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, everyone. And then as well, thank you to the organizers of this discourse. So today I will be speaking on a topic which is titled Artificial Intelligence in the Era of Multiculturalism, Leveling or Widening Global Diversity. So my discussion will be going, I'll try to situate my discussion under 5 contexts. First, I'll be asking this question: is AI and multiculturalism on the same page? Secondly, I will be asking AI, how does is it diverse or is it inclusive in its approach? Thirdly, I'll be asking the next question, which who will be left behind when we are all AI'd? Then the next will be, can AI level or widen global inequality? And finally, the next part of my discussion will be AI, cultural or religious values. So these are the 5 ways I've tried to structure my discussion. Now, my first argument or my first puzzle will be AI and multiculturalism. Are they between two ends? So what's the relationship between AI and cultural diversity? Are there likelihood that we could see AI embedding multiculturalism in its approach? Do we think they are between two ends? So why this is very important is that when we look at AI today and look at the issue of multiculturalism, we might be questioning ourselves if everybody's carried along. Because in the first instance, what's multiculturalism try to do? If we look at what it tries to do and situate it within the current discourse of AI, the negatives and the positives, we might be asking ourselves that there are fundamental issues we've not really been treated very well, or we've not really been put in perspective of what we're looking at. Most times when we try to look at multiculturalism, especially from a Western perspective, we are looking at issues of inclusion, issues of diversity, especially where you're thinking about how do we get the minorities within this Western culture, Western development to be recognized. Now, is it again equally important that while we continue to think about multiculturalism from a Western perspective, what about multiculturalism from the perspective of the other cultures that are not Western cultures? So it becomes very important to situate all these things in a very good context and then be able to understand them. So based on this, what I could regard as my background, my next question is multiculturalism. When we try to look at it, especially as it is today, it is important that we understand that it's actually struggling with a lot of things. It's struggling with the original idea, the original conceptualization. It's struggling with the programs around it. It's struggling with this ideology. Now, why the Western world are struggling, it's important we recognize that, especially where a lot of people are migrating from countries that are not really doing well economically, countries that are not doing well democratically or politically, are moving to the Western world where the economies seems to be doing well, where democracy seems to be doing well. But the last 2-3 years has shown that Western economies are equally struggling economically. Western economies are equally struggling politically. We could see issues where right wings are taking over government. People are voting out of a lot of prejudices. So with that, it's become important to understand that multiculturalism is struggling in the West. Now, if we flip it on the other side, we could see equally that diluting of cultures in other non-Western cultures are where we're seeing a lot of clashes, not just clashes of civilization, but ethnic clashes, religious clashes, and so on. When we look at all these things in a wider perspective, what comes to our mind is, so if we are struggling with these values, if we are struggling with these cultures, are we sure we're going to do very well in terms of technological advancement? Will technology be able to be diverse? Will technology be able to be inclusive, especially looking at where technology is situating more as we see today? Now, when we look at technology like AI and its diversity, it is important to know that it tends to favor one region of the world, maybe the Western region, not just because of their own making, but because they've been more advanced more than the other societies. Today, we are talking about fourth industrial revolution. Fourth industrial revolution. Where are the other cultures within this fourth industrial revolution? Where are they today? So, if you remove the Western world, few countries from maybe the Middle East, few countries maybe from Latin America could be said to be coming up to advanced system within this concept of industrial revolution. So it shows that there's a lot that AI need to buckle up if it needs to be diverse and inclusive. So if we move to the next slide, if these are the contexts that we've been able to establish, one thing now becomes very clear, that if we continue the way technology that should have been a leveler for all societies, and it continues this way, it will be important to understand that some sectors of humanity will be left behind by AI. And who are those who will be left behind? Most of the people that will be left behind will be people who will be in the southern hemisphere. They'll be left behind because most technology will be housed in the Western world, and less of them in the southern hemisphere. Meaning that one thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Meaning that one thing that we'll be seeing, that a lot of migration towards the northern hemisphere as people try to get hold of this technology. Like today, when you look at Google and other AI companies, even the names they use are all Western ideology. So meaning that a lot of people from the southern hemisphere will be left behind. And I think that's why the issue of multiculturalism begin to play a part as we continue to develop innovations like AI. How do we start bringing other societies into it? Now, if we look at as AI continue to grow, it's important to know that a lot of things will be important. Like you could see the graph here where they're saying that by 2030, AI will help us to make movies. AI will make superhuman beings. AI will care for the elderly. AI will grow world economy. AI will teach lessons. AI will solve energy crisis, predict illnesses, and then be as clever as human beings. Then the question is, where do we situate people who this global development by AI that wouldn't fall within this humanity? How do we situate them? So it's important that as we continue to develop AI, we continue to bring in other cultures into it. We continue to look at other cultures that are not covered by this. So if we do all these things, one thing remains very clear, that AI need to take in cognizance other cultures and other religious values. And why this is very important is that people will continue to question a lot of issues about AI, especially where it begin to touch their own fundamental beliefs. In the Arab world, in the Islamic world, in the African world, in the Latin American world, wherever AI begin to touch people's fundamental belief, which are part of multiculturalism, where they feel that they've not been well included in it, people will continue to revolt against it. People will continue to find alternative means not to adopt to these values of AI. I think it's important that as we move towards making sure that we're inclusive as a multicultural world, AI should continue to be inclusive and more diverse in nature. Thank you.